Okay, hello, all of my invisible friends. Um, it has taken me a long time to get around to this next rapid fire riffs video. Um, Life has been crazy, all the usual stuff. Um, and also, it was honestly so technologically cumbersome the last few times I did it uh, that I've been putting it off. But I finally sat down and figured out a better way to do everything, I hope. And I've done a couple test runs, so hopefully this will be uh, a little smoother, look a little better, and most importantly, be a lot less stupid editing work for me. So I have 6 very cool riffs to look at. Thank you, as always, to my patrons for the great suggestions and for your support in general. I know the videos have been coming a little less frequently the last month. Um, like I said, stuff is crazy. End of the semester, um, grading really takes up a lot of time and all that stuff. But uh, starting, I have a bunch of videos that are pretty much ripe for filming. I just need I've had this month or really couple months where I haven't had uh, almost any stretches of time where I'm at home without something else I have to do for more than like 2 hours. Um, and I need more than 2 hours to film most of these. So, yeah, as soon as the semester's done, I'm planning to get back on my regular schedule. Although I have heard in various forums that you're an adult when you keep telling yourself that next week will be easier, and you just keep doing that for the rest of your life. Um, so we'll see. But I do have a lot of videos that I'm really excited about making, uh, and I have the ideas and stuff ready to go. I just need to finish the scripts and film them and everything. But here are the rapid fire riffs. So the first one is the only one on this list that from a song that I knew before, and wasn't that fancy, that transition? Um, and it is from this very cool math rock album by Palm, uh, one of my favorite non-metal albums, I would have to say. And it's from Dog Milk, which is a song that I mentioned in my rapid fire riff, or no, my same riff slower video from a while ago, because there is this cool part at the end where the riff gets slowed down gradually, which I'll talk about. I'll probably start with that. But the question is about basically this. It's in this fast 11/8 or 11 something, 11/16, probably be how I notate it for most of it. But it's a really like tricky thing to hear. So I'm gonna start at the end and just try and get this riff down. So like I said, the cool thing is that at the end of this song, they slow it down gradually for a while, and it's kind of like they're like pulling the curtain back on what's like actually going on with this riff, because it's so fast for most of it that it's tricky to hear. So that starts, I'm not sure, somewhere around here. Starting to slow down very gradually. Drops an octave, goes through this high high cut filter, low pass filter, and there's starting to be these gaps in it. It's kind of like the tape machine or whatever is malfunctioning, and it's done. So when it gets really slow, it's a lot easier to hear. I'm hearing it as this kind of like 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 thing, right? That is adds up to 11. 3, 2, 2, 4. Bodo da bada boda bada da da bodo da bada bodo da 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 bodo da bada bodo da 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 da. So I'm going to transcribe that real quick. And the drums are doing this kind of cool, busy thing under that. I'm just kind of paying attention to this guitar thing, and there are all these cool effects on the guitar too that I'm not gonna get here, but yeah, let's just get the rhythm of that melody thing. This 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4. And there's some other layers and effects on the guitar, like I said. But that is the basic idea. Let's see. So 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 over 16. So it's this. And that's just going over and over. That's the basic skeleton of it. Yeah, let me just listen to the drums for a little bit. Yeah, so it seems like the drums are saying the same, and the tricky thing is that the drums are subdividing this a little differently. They're doing this kind of, I'm hearing it as 6 plus 5, which I'll transcribe real quick. So doing something, so there's something on every 16th note, and what they're doing is like kick, hi-hat, still 16th notes, kick, snare, hi-hat, kick, snare, tom, something like that. Yeah, so it's roughly like that. This last one might be a kick. Yeah, so the tricky thing is that this is kind of subdividing it as like 3 plus 3 plus 5 is how I'm hearing it. So this one is 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4, the guitar. And the bass is, I think, following this. Maybe they're doing 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. It sounds like this. 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. Maybe it goes back down there. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. Like that. So I can put that in. So that's pretty much following what the drums are implying. So kind of like this. Yeah, so the Dorco playback is weird. It adds this like low note. There's some artifact. I've tried fixing it, but not hard enough. But at least it's actually working right now. Yeah, so it sounds like this. If I do that, I can make it a lot slower. Kind of hear it. Pretty fun. And then getting back up closer to the actual tempo. Yeah, so there's this tricky thing where the rhythms and the two layers aren't quite lining up, and I think that's kind of the main idea with why most of the song is it's so tricky to hear where the downbeat is. But let's listen to some of it. It is really tricky because the patterns keep changing. I'm not sure if it stays in 11 the whole time. I think it probably does. But part of what's really tricky is that those hi-hat hits are on the off beats, and they're not, only the guitars are articulating the downbeats in some parts, and the voice doesn't line up with that all the time, and the bass is sometimes doing something different. So like in this first part, so this first part I think is still 11, except it's going to be 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3, which is different from what the bass does at the end. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1, and the voice comes in, and I think it changes. Yeah, the voice comes in on an upbeat, or what at least I'm hearing as an upright beat. I mean, I think there's part of what's tricky about this is that you could notate this a couple different ways depending on whether you're hearing the guitar pattern as the downbeat, or the hi-hats as on the beat, or following the vocals. And I think you'd get slightly different things each time. So they're not different. They're not different lengths, but they're like out of phase with each other. Yeah, and it's really, really slippery to keep track of it, but it is still following this 11/16 thing, where it's 6 plus 5 roughly, where it's 3 3, and then either 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 2 in the second half. And yeah, the hi-hats are not hitting on the downbeats. I think the hi-hats are following the same thing as they are in the end, except without the kicks and snare and other drums to fill it in, and without I think without this one. Yeah, let me just listen again. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. Yeah, and then this comes in early. So it's either everything is coming in early, or they're hearing the meter different from what I'm hearing it. And also, of course, like maybe the obvious thing is I'm listening to this on 70% speed. When it's at full speed, these 16th notes are so fast that it's I think it's really tricky to lock in. Obviously, if you spend the time with it and learn it slow, you'll hear it very differently. But yeah, at this point for me, the full speed, I can't keep up. Yeah, and then there are these bass hits that aren't lining up with what I'm hearing as the downbeat. So I think I'm listening mostly to the guitar pattern and having it follow what I noted it as here. But the I think there's a good case to be made that maybe there are something else is makes more sense earlier in the song. And this guitar pattern keeps changing. It's always like kind of fragments, same pitches, but different like rotations of this and fragments of this thing. Yeah, I think that's that's probably the best I'm going to be able to do for this video if I'm not going to spend 5 more hours actually transcribing it. Is just say that, I mean, the patterns keep changing. It seems like it's mostly still in this 11, as the person who requested this pointed out. The end follows this pattern, and I think it's like a lot of these grooves are derived from this, where they're just removing 1 or 2 notes, but not all of them. And then there's also a lot of like contradictory stuff between the vocal phrasing, which kind of floats over all of this, I think, and the bass hits, which come in at kind of unpredictable points, at least sometimes. But yeah, I really love this this little vocal thing, this like perfect cadence. There's the first little taste of the last riff, exactly as it shows up later here. But yeah, like I said, I absolutely love this album. It's like so like manic and like unhinged sounding to me in a really cool way, and it's like so absurdly complicated. A lot of these grooves, uh, even if it's it's all on the grid, it's all these 16th note, like really intricate 16th note things, which normally aren't that tricky. I'm just like not used to hearing them in this math rock context. I'm used to hearing them, with uh, um, more like traditional metal guitar riff or and metal drumming. So maybe if you're used to a lot more to like playing math rock and stuff and playing these like looping, changing patterns, this stuff is easier to hear for you. But I think super super fast, um, not quite staying put, and then all this these slight offsets between the layers. And yeah, super super cool. I have spent 40 minutes of filming on this, and I need to move on because I do not want to spend 3 hours, 4 hours on uh, on these 6 riffs. So I will consider that one done, and I will. This is high on my list of non-metal riffs to look at, or to do a video about. All right, moving on. Next one on the list is Town Portal Vanitas, and this is a question about an isorhythm. Let's just listen to the beginning in the second. So, question about an isorhythm in the riff that starts at 36 seconds. Let's just listen to the whole intro. Super cool. I don't know anything about this band, but it sounds like an album I want to check out. So I don't think it's an isorhythm, just right off the bat, because the pitches and the rhythms seem like they're staying put compared to relative to each other. So the there that banana is always, the pitches are always in the same spot with the rhythm there. But it is this cool looping riff. I'm gonna listen one more time and then I think I'll have it. Yeah, so there's some tricky stuff, but it's basically going da da ba da da ba 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 da 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 ba ba da 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 1 2 3 ba da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 3 ba da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 3. and I think it's just doing that the whole time. And there is some stuff that's a little tricky about it, like I said, but let me listen to it again. One da da ba 2 3 1 da da 1 2 1 2 3 ba 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 da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 3 ba da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 da da ba 2 ba da da ba 2 3 ba da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 3 ba da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 3 ba da da 1 2 ba da da 1 2 3. And then pitches change, rhythm stays the same for at least as much as I listen to. Yeah, so that's so what I'm doing is kind of like a version of this thing that I call Meshuggah counting, because it's useful in all of Meshuggah's music, but it's useful in a lot of metal, because you can hear this stuff, and it's like it won't make sense if you just give someone else these numbers, but it makes a lot of sense to kind of group your thinking, and then it's a kind of a different question to fit this into standard notation, which is what I'm going to do now. So let me try and get the pitches. Yeah, so I think it's this. I think it's just B with this upper neighbor. Do that there. Oops. Wrong button. So I think it's this and the guitars. But the tricky thing is that the bass is doing one extra hit that starts on the last beat of the guitars thing. So it's doing like this. Yeah, let's see if this sounds like anything. I made a mistake. So these are actually all eighth notes. So sorry, yeah, it's actually 9/16. Bata 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. Rookie mistake. And then the other one, that makes the other one 11/16. Just cleaning this up, making sure the beaming looks good. Okay, so I fixed that. Let's try it again. A little slower than that. Yeah, so the didn't copy the time signature changes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the bass kind of jumps the gun, and it stands out quite a lot in the mix, which is cool. But yeah, not a nice rhythm, just a cool repeating thing. And then the pitches change a bit in the next section as well. The rhythm stays the same. Yeah, so it sounds like what the pitches are doing. First one is this minor second. I don't know how to play guitar. And that repeats for a while, and then I think the bass moves up too, or maybe the bass stays in the same place. Or I guess maybe everything moves up by half step. And then it switches to a major second in the upper voice. So the whole thing is kind of like and then goes on to some other stuff. And I know I'm probably missing some details about the bass. I'm notoriously bad about hearing these low notes. They point at me in the hallways and they say, that's the guy who can't hear low notes that well. But what can you do? So yeah, super cool riff, and I'm looking forward to digging, checking out this album. Seems cool, and I'm a sucker for album covers with volcanoes on them. Speaking of which, this is not this is a little bit of a forced segue, and the jump of association is that it reminds me of this album cover, which is one of my favorite album covers of all time. And the next riff I'm going to do is a riff from Krallice. So this riff from Set, which is off their album from a couple years ago, Krallice is just like they're a force of nature. The Machine Music blog, Ron, who runs that, wrote something like they're like the redwoods. They don't care that you exist. You just have to like live in this world where they exist, and it's if you kind of take the time and sit with it, it can be really cool. I'm paraphrasing badly. You should go check out all of the Machine Music recommendations and reviews and stuff. Really cool writing, a lot of really good music. But yeah, so this is from one of the more recent albums. These things have been getting kind of more fragmented, shorter. So like early in Krallice's discography, they had these really long, kind of repetitive, cold tracks, and recently, yes, with Prelapsarian, and I mean, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce all these album names, but the one with like the statue with the folds, and the Wolf EP, and yeah, I think that was kind of the turning point towards these like shorter, more like densely composed, atonal kind of things. So I'm excited, and I did a video about Time Rendered Omni a while ago. It was one of my older videos, but if you want more Krallice in your life, check that out. And I'm definitely they're due for some more videos. But the question is about this part at 120 to 130 something. So let's see what's going on. Cool. Yeah, super sick. I'm so happy to be living in a world where there are people writing this type of music. I feel very lucky every time I like really sit down with Krallice's music, and I'm like, yeah, that's the stuff uh, that I want to write myself, and I want to listen to, or one facet of it. Yeah, super cool. So this is in 4/4, but the interesting thing is probably going to be the harmony. So let's see what's going on with that. Sorry, I guess at the beginning I said there's only one song that I knew beforehand. I forgot about this one. Obviously, I know this one. Of course. You think I've missed a Krallice album? Who do you think I am? One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. And then something else. But let's see if I can transcribe this. So just like I'm gonna speed up the part of me actually transcribing it, but what I'm will do is split it into left and right channels, because there's at least 2 guitar parts and this bass part, and I'll do all this like filtering stuff to try to get all these different parts. Okay, I think I've cracked it. What is happening is that we have one guitar layer in 4, and it's repeating this phrase, kind of A, B, A, C thing, where the first time through the A section is this. And the second time through. And it does that twice, and that's the guitar in your right ear, and the guitar in your left ear is doing this thing that is actually in 15 eighth notes. So so it's phasing against the other guitar, which gives it this cool kind of chaotic effect. Yeah, so the left hand guitar is doing like that. So let me see if I can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it has this little tag at the end to catch up. So yeah, so we have A section with one ending, then this A section again. So this is the right hand guitar, and that whole thing repeats here, while the left hand guitar is repeating this thing that does this. So it moves over by 1/8 note compared to the other guitar part each time it shows up. So you can see it's moving ahead in the measure a little bit more. Yeah, so that's like the skeleton of this. I'm pretty sure I have once again spent way too long on this, and I unfortunately won't be able to get the bass, but that's what the guitars are doing. And then the harmonically, I mean, it's super cool. Let me just listen back at full speed. Yeah, so it's super crunchy. There's a lot of, I mean, these individual lines are pretty chromatic. You have this, I mean, it's like roughly sitting on A flat, but it's, you know, it starts where they're both kind of doing this A flat. I don't know, what would this be? It's not one of the modes, I don't think. Not one of the diatonic modes. Who cares about scales? Scales are boring. But like vertically, it's a lot of major thirds, minor sixths, and then all these chromatic things linearly that make it sound super crunchy, kind of jazzy, kind of bebop-y. So yeah, very, very cool riff, kind of bordering on atonality. It's not quite exactly atonal. There's, you know, repetitions of pitch, or it's not a 12-tone row, I should say. There are repetitions of pitches, and it's doing more of this chromatic line thing, but definitely not tonal. And especially once this second guitar part starts moving, phasing relative to the rest of it, you get a lot of really crunchy stuff like the minor second between these notes, and, you know, the list goes on. Yeah, so screenshot this tab if you want to play this. It's just in standard tuning. So that will be that. All right, next one. Now the last three are actually ones that I haven't heard before, and I'm not sure if I'm going to actually do any more transcribing. We'll see. So this next one is Horse Lords Fanfare for Effective Freedom. Let's listen. And I've been told the intro riff especially is interesting. I won't have time for the whole song, but let's listen to the beginning. Man, that was sick. That was so much fun. Yeah, the beginning. So there's stuff at the beginning we're trying to talk about in a sec. The rest of it, it's kind of it's in this 5/8, and then it shifts to this 6/8, and there are all these really cool textural things, timbral things changing. But it starts with this just like spare beat, and you know, I feel like these things are so tricky. I talked about this a little bit in the Intronaut video, the Killing Birds with Stone video I did last summer, where it's when you have something and they're not subdividing it for you, it's just like these attacks. You kind of, you know, it's about to get crazy, because it can never be that simple. So it starts with this. There's this little that's just going down and up this octave, super spaced out, and then it starts doing this 3 against 2 thing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then, so it's still doing a 3 against 2 thing, and it gets faster. I'm not sure. Is it just double time? Let me listen. So this is the same as the intro. And the bass holds on to the, like, stable thing. Yeah, and then it goes into this 5 against 4 thing. I'm trying to figure out these links, these tempo links, because that's obviously what I'm always trying to do. Oh, okay. So yeah, it is kind of what I had suspected is. So it's this iterative thing where we have these spare beats that, or I keep saying spare as in like minimal. There's nothing in between them subdividing them, and then we have another layer that divides 2 of those beats into 3, and then we have that what was the 3 becomes the new beat, and we have another 3 against 2 against the old 3. There is it worth trying to make a diagram about this real quick? Probably. So let's try and make a diagram real quick. My specialty. So we start with these blocks that are whatever, this will work. So these blocks where there's just 2, or I mean it's grouped into 2 because they're going low, high. We've got a whole bunch of these at the start, etc. Okay, so this is the first thing, and then a layer gets added. Not sure how I'm going to communicate this, but basically what's happening is there are 3 of these in the same space as 2 of these. So this is state 1, state 2, and then state 1 keeps going with this, where we have that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we get that same thing iterated such that we now have 3 of these things fitting in the space of 2 of these old, or these, whatever. And this is not lining up. I think my angle I'm looking at it is making it a little thing. It's not snapping the way I want it to. But come on, line up. Whatever. You get the idea. So 3 in the space of this 2 1, so we've had kind of a tempo modulation. Although in these like really weird cases, these traditional words like tempo modulation and polyrhythm and polytempo and whatever, they kind of break down. They stop making as much sense. Actually, I got this wrong. So what is actually happening is we have this next one is actually 4 of these new things in the space of 3 of these old things. Is that right? Actually, yeah, so I guess we can scratch some of what I just said. So now, instead of actually shifting tempo or whatever, really this is just doing 8th notes compared to the old tempo. So we had these original attacks, then we have the triplets, quarter note triplets compared to these quarter notes, and then we have 8th notes compared to the old quarter notes. So... And these are kind of bouncing back and forth between which guitar layer has them. And then I'm pretty sure what's happening here is... Okay, I think I have an idea of why it's a little tricky. But this one is becoming 5s in the space of 4 of these old ones. So... And that's where a lot of this is going to stay. You have 5 in the space of the 8th note quintuplets. So these are a little trickier to this 5 against 4 thing. So 1, 3, 4. Not quite perfect, I don't think. It's really easy to slip into that ba-ba-do-ba-da-ba rhythm, which it's not quite that. But yeah, so that's what's happening there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the rhythm, like they're adding more layers here. It starts to sound really cool. It gets wonky. I'm not exactly sure what's... There's some parts where it feels like it bends a little bit, but it's still basically based on this 5 against 4 thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost it. bass is still holding that 4 thing. Feels like it's going into a 9 against 4 thing. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1. A bunch of different layers. This is another one that seems like it's something I should spend some actual time with. Really cool. Really like. And it's cool because it's fun to study and talk about because it kind of wears this stuff. It's like daring you to figure out what's happening because it builds it up piece by piece, and the connections are like just out of reach of being familiar. Yeah, and the other thing that's making it a little tricky to hear is that. So I'm pretty sure what's happening is that the guitars are switching roles every time something new comes in. So you can't just keep hearing the old, the bass is kind of what's keeping time through most of this, but the bass keeps shifting. So we have this version where the bass is doing these long notes. Then we have the next version where the bass is doing the long notes and the upper guitar is doing the triplets. And then we switch so that the bass is doing these triplets and the upper guitar is doing these eighth notes. And then it switches so that the bass is doing these eighth notes and the upper guitar is doing the quintuplets. And then all the other layers come in. But yeah, really, really cool. I had so much fun just listening to this for the first time. Definitely won't be the last. And I guess before I jump on to the next track, there are 2 connections that this reminds me of. One is Liturgy's track Fanfare from the start of the artwork. This idea of starting with a fanfare, Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man, I think it's like a cool musical trope topic to kind of explore. And Fanfare is kind of similar in that it's this like really open harmonically, so fifths and octaves, but really rhythmically complex, unpredictable thing. And then the other thing this reminds me of, if I can humbly bring up my own music, is one of the things I did on my EP from the last track, where a lot of this, the guitars are doing this 4-beat thing and the drums are playing quintuplets against them, but the drums are implying a 4/4 backbeat. So it's kind of like you have the guitars are doing a 4 against 5 polyrhythm against the drums, depending on how you think about it, which this was very tricky to learn to feel, but that sounds a little like this. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So if you're interested in this sort of weird stuff, this track has a bunch of those sorts of like tuplet playing around things, tuplet experimentation. So it turns out that I turned my audio recording off right before I started talking about the penultimate riff. So I'm going to redo that, speed through it a little bit more than I did. But it is from this song by Heavy Meta, Boötes Void. And the question is about this section where there's kind of a strong beat, a typical like punk D beat, that doom ba doom da doom da doom ba doom da da, where you have the snare on beat 2 and these kick drum things going on in the middle, but there's this section that kind of throws a wrench into it. So I'm going to play that. So here's the kind of traditional part. So, super cool. Basically, what I spent a while kind of trying to grapple with this without realizing that my audio had stopped recording. But yeah, so this pretty conventional riff that's priming you to like kind of sit back and just have fun, and then little pause, and then this new guitar riff that's like doom ba ba da 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 boom ba da da ba da da boom ba ba da 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 boom ba da da ba da da. And the gist of it is that the snare is following that guitar riff, that irregular guitar riff. So slower, it's like doom ba ba da ba da da boom ba da da ba da da doom ba ba da 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 boom ba da da ba da da. It's following that for almost all of it, but the third time that we get that little repeating guitar, irregular meter guitar loop, the snare kind of pulls back to doing that offbeat thing that we had before, which is super trippy because it's conflicting completely with what the guitar riff is doing. And then it finally, or then it goes back to doing the accents, and then it all kind of dissolves into this transition. So I'll play it slow, which is how I was listening to it. Yeah, and I decided that I am running out of energy, and I'm not gonna like try and transcribe this in detail right now. But I think like that's basically the gist. Is that this guitar riff is, the drums are following it, and then they're not, and then they are following it again. And I think that the beat from from before kind of continues uninterrupted throughout if you try to tune into it. So let me try and show that. So I'm going to snap along to this on the offbeats as if this were a jazz record. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the meter thing is, and there's this kind of transition thing out of it that is a little irregular, but that's the basic gist. Doom ba ba da 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 boom da ba ba da ba ba. But yeah, super cool album, and I am looking forward to listening to the rest of it because it sounds really fun. And I was also talking about how the kind of conventional part leading into this primes you to just like keep hearing it like that, and then it's even more jarring when something so angular gets thrown in. And like not even like predictably angular. You know, this is like legit hard to to follow. Took me a few spins and slowing it down, because it's fast and it's not very uh, not very familiar. Um, yeah, so super cool. Sorry to spend less time on it, but I promise by now I've spent a lot of time on it because I talked about it for a while. Yeah, and then the last thing that I wanted to talk about. This wasn't a formal request, but it was a something that one of my dearest longtime patrons sent me and talked about a little bit this month, and I just wanted to kind of respond to that here. So it's the part that I'm looking at is at the end of this track. Another album that I'm pretty sure this was on my list of stuff that I've been meaning to listen to, but I hadn't listened to it yet. Kind of this like black metal crusty thing from what I can tell. And the last section of this is a classic same riff but slower thing, and it has this pattern, this 4+6 pattern. So you can count it as 1, 2, 3, rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest. So let's listen to that. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest. 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest. And then in a second, we're going to get the same riff, but slower. Hold on to your pants. I like how brief it is. It's like they make the point, and they just don't give you more than they keep you asking for more, which is a cool musical thing to do, compositional choice. So the kind of cool idea that I wanted to respond to was, so Bishop, who sent this in, Bishop from, yes, the Bishop from Rat Punch and the funeral directory. I know I have famous internet friends, but the idea was that he said that it feels harder to count this than it is because you like expect it to change, which I think is a cool point where like the context of all the music you've ever heard will shape how you're able to hear new stuff, right? So if you're used to listening to a lot of music where the like you can't trust things that seem like they're sitting still, so you know, I don't know, anytime Meshuggah starts a riff, it's like, you know, it's gonna pull the rug out from under you at some point. And you know, same with all the like also that Horse Lords thing where you have that like apparently super simple intro, and you know, like if the simpler it sounds, the crazier it's gonna get. Yeah, I think that's just kind of a cool point that listening kind of gets carried over into these other scenarios where it sounds like something is repetitive enough that it's gonna there are gonna be wrenches thrown into it, but in this case it doesn't. So yeah, I think that will be that. So thank you so much to all my patrons for the great suggestions as always. A lot of really interesting stuff that I'm gonna listen to for fun, and some stuff that I think I will be fun puzzles to spend some more time on. Thank you as always for your support as well, of course, and thank you to everyone who watches these videos. Like I said at the beginning, I have a lot of videos that I'm really excited about finally putting together. I just need a little more time, which I'll have soon, hopefully. Yeah, so sleep tight. Sweet dreams. See ya.